Hi everyone! In this video, I will once again attempt to answer the age-old question of is it better to propagate plants in water or soil? This time I will be propagating spider plants. I will put half of the spider plant babies directly in soil and I will put the other half in water first, wait for the roots to grow long enough, then transplant them in soil. And I will compare the foliage and root growth for over 2 months. To make the comparison more fair, all the spider plant babies I'm using are taken from the same mother plant that I have in my home. I made sure to only choose plantlets that already have formed a node, which is where the root can easily grow from. To get the baby plants off the mother plant, I just cut as close to the plantlet as possible. I'm going to take 6 of them for this plant experiment. After that, I divided the plantlets into 2 groups, one for water and one for soil propagation. I would have liked to use more plantlets to have a bigger sample size, but that's all this mother plant could provide me with. It was also difficult to get the plantlets to be the same size, so I just did the best that I could so that each group has a relatively large plantlet and a relatively small plantlet. For the water propagation, I filled a clear glass jar with some tap water and placed the spider plantlets in so that the nodes are submerged in the water, but the leaves are not. In this way, the leaves are less likely to rot. For the soil propagation, I filled a pot with approximately half houseplant potting mix and half perlite. Mixed it, made some dips for the baby spider plants to sit in. Then I placed them in, made sure that they're securely sitting in the soil. Then I gave it some water, which is again just tap water from my kitchen sink. After that, I placed both water and soil propagation side by side in my southeast facing window to receive plenty of sunlight. From then on, I took care of the baby spider plants in water by topping off the jar with fresh water whenever I see the water level is low to replace any water that has evaporated. For the baby spider plants in soil, I kept the soil moist in the first month, which involved giving it a small amount of water every couple of days. After the first month or so, when the plant is slightly more established than before, I cut back on the frequency of watering. So I started to let the soil dry out between watering, but I would water more thoroughly when I do give it water. Here are what the spider plantlets look like by the end of week 2. The spider plant babies in water have grown some really nice roots. I did want the roots to be slightly longer before I placed these in soil though, so I decided to not do it on this day. The ones in soil looked similar to how they looked before. I guess it's hard to tell what's going on beneath the soil since I didn't use a clear pot. By the end of week 4 is when I decided to transplant the spider plant babies in water to soil. I'll show a close-up shot of the roots when I take them out of the water, but even from here you can see that they have formed longer roots than 2 weeks ago. The ones in soil seem to have gotten a bit bushier than before, but yeah, it's a bit difficult to measure how much spider plants grow. Anyways, I'm going to take the spider plant babies out of the water. You can see that they're all healthy and each one of them has multiple roots coming out from the bottom, as well as some nice secondary roots growing on the side of the primary roots. Also, a common feedback that I got from my last video comparing water and soil propagation for pothos was that you wanted to see a comparison of the root growth and not just the foliage difference. So I'm now going to take the spider plants that's been growing in soil out, just to see what their roots look like. I'm going to get them out by hand. Some dirt will be stuck on the roots, so I'm going to use water to get the last bit off because rinsing the dirt off would be gentler for the plant than using my hands. Again, I normally don't take plants out of the soil like this because it does disturb the roots, but I'm doing it for science. And here you go, the ones growing in soil have whiter and thicker roots, and the roots on all 6 spider plants baby are similar in length and all have some secondary roots except for the one on the very right. So I would say at this point in time there's really no clear winner between water and soil. Now I'm going to put the soil ones back into the pot. After I've done that, I'm going to transfer the spider plantlets that were in water to soil. I've already prepared another pot of soil for this. The process of transferring the spider plantlets from water to soil is very straightforward. Just make some space for the roots in the soil, place the plantlets in, filling the base with some soil so that the plantlet doesn't just fall over, and then give it some water. Because the plantlets have been living in water for the past month, I'm going to keep the soil moist for the next few weeks just to help the plantlets transition from water to soil. Now let's see what they look like by week 9. Well, first of all, both pots are doing well. All the cuttings survived. I would say that the plantlets from water have slightly longer and a few more leaves than the ones in soil. All 3 stalks from water are around the same size, whereas one of the plantlets in soil is really big while the other 2 are rather small. I do think this difference is due to the plantlets starting off with different sizes. Now I'm going to once again take all the plantlets out of the soil and take a look at the roots. The ones rooted in soil all have healthy roots. The one with the longest leaves also has the most roots. And now look at the roots of the spider plants rooted in water. Well, they're all tangled up, but it's obvious that they have way more roots than the spider plants directly planted in soil. So I would say that water propagation won this round. But I also want to mention something that I would consider a slight disadvantage for propagating spider plants with straight leaves like mine in water. And that is when I was gathering materials for this experiment, it was rather difficult for me to find a container with a neck narrow enough that the spider plants didn't just fall into the water, which may cause the leaves to rot. The container I ended up using was an old glass jar for spices, and the neck was still a bit too wide that I had to check on a regular basis to make sure that the spider plants didn't just fall in. For plants like pothos, you can hang the cutting on the edge of the glass, so you shouldn't have this problem. But for a plant like the spider plant with straight leaves, it might just be more convenient to propagate directly in soil, which grew slightly slower in this video, but it still grew and it's still healthy. Anyways, what methods do you prefer for propagating spider plants? Let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in seeing more videos where I compare plant growth in water versus soil, here's a playlist I think you will enjoy. See you next time. Bye!